All right, this first part that we've got, it wants you to multiply a binomial times a binomial. Yeah? So what did you say you have to do, or what do you use to help you do that? The box. So we've got x plus 2 times x plus 3. And what is x times x? X squared. What is 3 times x? What is 2 times x? And then 2 times 3? 6. What do you do from there? Binary like terms. So we got x squared, then 3x plus 2x gives you 5x. And we got that plus 6 as well. Is that all right? Okay. So remember when we factor, what are we doing? Do I remember how we said it? Kind of like undoing that multiplication, like what we did the past couple of days. So when you're factoring, you're undoing multiplication. So we're going to be given something like this, and we've got to work backwards and figure out what you multiplied to get there. So do y'all notice anything looking at our answer and what we started with? Like, where did the 6 come from? 2 times 3, right? Where did the 5 come from? 2 plus 3. So do you think that's going to work like every time?
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah. So that's kind of like the patterns that we're looking for. So like if we were here, we're going to work backwards. So we know that our factors have to multiply to 6, but then add to be 5. So that's the direction we're headed. We've got 2 different ways that we're going to go about doing that today. I'm going to show you both, and then I don't care which one you do. Whichever you like best is fine. Okay? So the first one that I'm going to show you is called drop it low. This is the one that I like best, so it's the one that I'm probably going to use most often. So anytime you're factoring, you got to make sure that you're in descending order first. So I think we talked about that a little bit, but basically just make sure you've got x squared, x, and then your constant. And then you're going to set up your parentheses. So we're going to work through this example as we go through the steps. So we're in descending order. Do you agree? And we're going to set up our parentheses, just like we did when we were factoring differences of squares. Do you remember doing that? We said parentheses, parentheses, then we took it from there.
Yeah.
So the first drop it is to drop your x's, because we know, how do you get x squared? X times x, right? Then we want to drop our first sign. So you're always going to keep whatever your first sign is. So since our first sign is a plus, we're going to keep a plus right here. If your second sign is positive, then the signs in your answers have to match. I'm going to highlight that. So if your second sign is positive, then your answers are going to match. If your second sign is negative, then your answers are going to be opposite. So for ours, the second sign, it's positive. So that means the signs in our answers have to match. So if we already have a plus, we need another plus. Now, how did we say we get this 12? They multiply to be 12. So 2 numbers that multiply to be 12, but then they have to add to be 7. So what are 2 factors of 12? So multiplies to 12, but then adds to be 7. So look at your factor sheet. Let's look at all our factors of 12. So we've got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Which of those are going to also add to be 7? 3 and 4, right? We're always going to put the bigger number first. So we'll put 4, and then we'll put 3. And those are our factors. Is that all right? So how could we check to be sure that this answer is correct? How could we be sure that this, when multiplied out, is going to give us this? The box, right? So let's do that. So we'll set up our box, and we're going to have x plus 4, x plus 3 on the sides. What is x times x? X squared. What is x times 3? What is 4 times x? What is 4 times 3? What do you do from there? Combine your like terms. So we've got 3x plus 4x. So x squared plus 7x plus 12. And is that what we started with? Yep. So we're good to go. We know that we factored that correctly. Is that okay? So you can check it like this every single time. So if you're ever factoring and you're not quite sure if you've done it right or if you've maybe messed up somewhere, you can always check it by multiplying it out. So do the box. That will always, always, always work. So if you're taking a test and you're given a trinomial and you have to factor it and it's multiple choice, you have 4 options. Well, the answer's on the page, right? So if you completely forget how to factor, how could you get the right answer? Just multiply it all out, right? So this is always going to work. Multiplying it out will always work to check your answer or find the answer for you. Are we okay so far? Do we have any questions right now? All right. So that's like drop it low. That's what I like to do. The second way to do this is X factor. But like I said, we'll do both, and you can do whichever one you like best. So still for X factor, you got to make sure that you're in descending order. So we're going to work with this example right here. Let's change these to the same variable, though. Do y'all want X's or B's? X. Okay, so we're going to change that B squared to an X squared. So you got to be in descending order. So you got X squared, X, and then your constant. So we're good there. So then you're going to set up an X. So draw an X. You're going to put your C on top. So your C was that number at the end all by itself, 40. And then you're going to put the B, which is your middle term, on the bottom. And you're still just looking for numbers that are going to multiply to 40 and then add to be 14. So this is just a different way to set it up. So you can look on your factor chart. What are numbers that multiply to 40 but add to be 14? 4 times 10, right? So we can have 10 and 4. So then when we go write our factors, since these numbers were both positive, we'll say like x plus 10 and x plus 4. Is that okay? And then you'll check again by multiplying. So we could do the box and check that. So we'll do that real quick. So we've got x plus 10 and x plus 4. What is x times x? And 4 times x. And x times 10. And 10 times 4. 40. Combine your like terms in the middle. So that's going to give you x squared plus 14x plus 40. And that's what we started with, so we're good to go. All right? So again, I don't care which one you do. Whichever you like best is fine. I like the first one just because that always gets your signs for you, so you don't have to worry about, sometimes they subtract or whatever, so it just gets a little bit harder. But again, whichever one you like is totally fine. And we're going to do a bunch together, and we'll do a bunch both ways. Any questions right now? All right, so we'll try the next one. Which method y'all want to do? Drop it low or X factor? First one, okay, so that's what I call drop it low. I like that best, that's just me. So we're going to factor this out. So anytime you're factoring, do y'all remember what we always check for first? A GCF, yeah, so think back all the way to like Monday. So I would get a piece of paper somewhere that you're going to like keep handy. I'm using the back of a bell ringer. And we're going to make a list for factoring. Methods of factoring. So when you're factoring anything ever, we said we always check for what first? A GCF. So first step, always check the GCF. What was the second way that we learned how to factor? That's what your homework was on last night. That's difference of squares. And when do you use difference of squares? What does the difference part mean? It's subtracting. So it has to be a binomial. B-I-N-O. It's got to be subtracting And then what does the squares mean? Perfect squares. And then if it's not a binomial, it's probably going to be a trinomial. And then we'll do drop it low or x factor, which is what we're talking about today. So drop it low or x factor. And so for that, it's going to be a trinomial. And your a value, that's your leading coefficient, the number in front of x squared, it's always going to be 1 for this. So we're going to say a equals 1. Then sometimes you'll have a trinomial where your a value is not 1, and we'll talk about how to handle that next week. So we're going to add more to this list later, but for now we're going to stop. So anytime you're factoring, you should be running through this mental checklist. So like if you've got it memorized already, then you don't need to have it out, but if you don't, it might be helpful just to have this on your desk with your factor sheet so that you can look at it. So again, anytime you're factoring, you're running through this checklist. And then we'll go ahead and try the one down here. Y'all ready? Okay. So when you're factoring anything under, what do you always check for first? Do we have a GCF here? No. But what? But what about the y squared? So is there a GCF between all of this? No. And since there's not, that's fine. There doesn't always have to be a GCF. Then is this a binomial or a trinomial? Trinomial. So since it's a trinomial, we're probably going to have to do drop it low or x factor, which that's all we're doing today. So most of them are going to be like that. So y'all said you wanted to do drop it low first, yes? All right. So we got to make sure it's in descending order. I'm reading the steps from at the top of the page if you want to follow along with that. Are we in descending order? Yeah, so you're going from your squared to just the x or just the y, and then your constant. And we're going to set up our parentheses. Then our next step, are you looking at the top? It says step 3, drop your x's. Yeah? So for us, it's like y's this time. So we're going to drop a y. And that's because y times y is going to give you y squared. Yeah? Then you're looking at step 4. It says drop your first sign. You always keep that first sign. So we're going to keep a plus. The second sign is a minus. So it says if the second sign is negative, the signs in your answers have to be opposite. I'm reading that right up here. So if your second sign is negative, the signs in your answers have to be opposite. So if we already have a plus, what's the opposite? Subtraction. So the other one needs to be minus. Is that okay? So now we're looking for factors of 18 that subtract to be 3. So look at your factor sheet. We need factors of 18 that subtract to be 3. What you think? 6 and 3. The big one goes first. So we'll put 6. We'll put 3. And we're done. How can we check that? Do the box. Multiply it out. Can I show y'all a trick that's going to keep you from having to do the whole box? Yeah? So we said, how do you get this 18? Or that negative 18? So what is positive 6 times negative 3? Negative 18. That checks out. And then how do we get your middle number? You add or subtract those, right? So what is positive 6 minus 3? 3. That checks out too. So you don't have to do the entire box. Does that make sense? That's like a quick check, just to make sure that you're good to go. Yeah? Questions? All right, let's do some more. We have 21 to choose from. So pick a number, any number. What y'all want to do? I heard 16. 16. 1 through 20. So you want to do one by yourself? Let's pick some at the top. How about like 6? 7. 19. 18 to. We already did. 8. We'll do 11. Okay. I picked a few. So we'll start with number 2. So we got 2 options. We got drop it low and we got X factor. Do y'all want to do some of both? Anybody want to do another X factor one? Yeah, we'll do a couple just in case. We'll do X factor on this one. So you've got to make sure that you're in descending order. Or what? Excuse me. Sorry. What do we always check for first? GCF. Do we have one here? No. And now we're looking against a trinomial because we got 3 terms, right? So you're probably going to X factor or drop it low. We'll X factor on this one. So we're going to draw our big X. You put that C value up top, so 18. You put your B value on the bottom, so negative 9. We need factors of 18 that add to be negative 9. So what would that be? What's going to multiply to positive 18, but like add to be negative 9? And positive 6, positive 3. So positive 6 plus positive 3 is going to give you negative 9. Negative 6, negative 3. See, this is why I don't like this kind, because you got to think about that. But it's fine. It's okay. So then when you write your factors, it's going to be x minus 6 and x minus 3. How do you check it? You can do the box, or we can do like our little quick check. So negative 6 times negative 3, what do you get? Positive 18. What's negative 6 minus 3? Negative 9, so that checks out as well. Is that okay? Can we do number 6 now? Okay, do you want an X factor or drop it low? Drop it low. Okay. So, what do you always check for first? GCF. Do we have a GCF here? Nope, we don't, so we're good on that. And is it a binomial or a trinomial? Trinomial, so you know you're going to X factor or drop it low. Y'all said you wanted to drop it low this time? So you got to make sure you're in descending order. Are we? Yes. So we'll go ahead and set up our parentheses. We'll drop your A's instead of X's this time. You always keep the first sign. The second sign is a minus. So that means these have to be opposite. So if we already have a plus, what do we need? A minus. We're looking for factors of 20 that subtract to be 1. What factors of 20 subtract to be 1? 4 and 5. The big one goes first, so put 5. Then 4. And we can do like a quick check to see that this is correct. So positive 5 times negative 4, what does that give you? Negative 20. And if we have positive 5 minus 4, what do you get? 1, so that checks out as well. Is that okay? Questions? All right. 7? That okay? When you're factoring, what do you always check for first? Do we have one? No, we don't. So, it's a binomial or trinomial? Trinomial, so you could X factor or you can drop it low. What do y'all want to do? Does anybody want to see another X factor? Yeah, we'll do one more. So, we're going to do the big X. Then that C value goes up top, so we've got negative 15 this time. And your B value is negative 2, so that's going on the bottom. We need numbers that will multiply to negative 15, then add or subtract to be negative 2. So negative 5 plus 3. Does that make sense? So our factors are going to be x minus 5 and x plus 3. How could you quick check that? Negative 5 times positive 3 gives you negative 15. Then negative 5 plus 3 gives you negative 2, so that checks out. Questions there? Are we all right? Is anybody like super lost? Questions? So we're going to backpedal just a little bit and go back to number 5. When you're factoring anything ever, what do you always check for first? Do we have one here? Nope. So is it a binomial or trinomial? Trinomial, so we're going to try to do what? Drop it low or X factor. So which one do y'all want to do? Drop it low. Okay, so we'll set up parentheses. You're going to drop your Y's. Drop the Y's. What do you always keep? The first sign, so this time it's a minus, so we're going to keep that minus. The second sign is a plus, so what does that mean about your answers? your second sign is a positive or plus, then your answers have to match. So if we already have a minus, what do we need? Another minus. Is that all right?
Yes.
So we need factors of 30 that are going to add to be 11. So what multiplies to 30 but adds to be 11? 5 and 6, but the big one first. So 6, 5, and that's it. Is that all right? Quick check that. What's negative 6 times negative 5? Positive 30, so that works. Negative 6 minus 5, negative 11, so we're good there too. Is that okay? Question? So let's do 11. So when you're factoring anything ever, what do you always check for first? GCF. Do we have one here? Nope. So you'll, is it a binomial or a trinomial? Trinomial, so we're going to try X factor or drop it low. Which one do y'all want to do? Does anybody want to see another X factor? So we'll drop it low. So set up your parentheses. Drop your X's. And what do you always keep? First sign, so we need a plus here. The second sign is a minus. So what does that mean about your answers? Got to be opposite. So if we already have a plus, we need a minus. You're looking for factors of 24 that subtract to be 5. 8 and what? 3. So if we quick check that, what's 8 times negative 3? Negative 24, and then we got 8 minus 3, 5. So that works. Is that okay? Next we got 15. So when you're factoring, what do you always check for first? GCF. Do we have one here? Nope, so we're good to go there. Is it a binomial or a trinomial? Trinomial, so you're going to X factor or drop it low. Y'all want to drop it low? So we'll set up parentheses. Drop your M's this time. What do you always keep? First sign. Now the second sign is a minus. So what does that mean about our answers? They got to be opposite, right? So if your second sign is negative, then the signs in your answer got to be opposite. So if we already have a minus, we need a plus. Exactly. Is that okay? So you're looking for factors of 30 that subtract to be 7. What are they? So factors of 30 that subtract to be 7. 10 and 3. Put the big one first. 10 and 3. Is that okay? Let's quick check that. So negative 10 times positive 3. Negative 30. Negative 10 plus 3. Negative 7. That works out as well. Is that okay? We got a couple more. Yeah, we'll do 16. Look at number 16. When you're factoring, what do you always check for first? GCF. So do we have one here? Nope. Is it a binomial or trinomial? Trinomial, so X factor or drop it low. We'll do drop it low. So drop your N's first. What do you always keep? First sign, that's going to be a minus. Then we need, our second sign is a minus. So what does that mean about our answers? They're going to be opposite. So since we have a minus, we need a plus. You're looking for factors of 60 that subtract to be 4. So I think you're, what, 6 and 10? So 10 goes first, then we put a 6. Is that okay? Quick check that. What is negative 10 times positive 6? Negative 60. Then negative 10 plus 6. Negative 4, so that checks out. Is that okay? Yeah? Then we're going to look at negative, or not negative 18, just regular 18. 18 over here. What do you always check for first? Do we have one? Nope. So, is it a binomial or trinomial? trinomial, so we'll try to drop it low. Or x factor, y'all want to drop it low again? So set up your parentheses. What do you drop first? Or what do you always keep? First sign. Your second sign is a plus. So what does that mean about your answers? They got to be the same. So if you have a minus, you need another minus. You're looking for factors of 7 that add to be 8. What are they? 1 and 7. Which one goes first? 7. 1. Quick check that real quick. What would it be?
I'll bring it back up.
Okay. So negative 7 times negative 1. Positive 7, that checks out. Then negative 7 minus 1. Negative 8, that checks out as well. You okay? Alrighty. Last one we're going to do together is 19. 19? Yeah. What do you always check for first? Do we have one? What can we divide all these by? 2. Anything else? Do they all have an x? So we can just divide out a 2. So if you do 2x squared divided by 2, what do you get? Just x squared. What about 2x divided by 2? Just x. What about negative 24 divided by 2? Is that all right? So now we're going to be just looking inside our parentheses. So you can ignore that GCF that we pulled out. Left inside your parentheses, do we have a binomial or trinomial? Trinomial. So do y'all want an x factor or drop it low? Low. So we'll leave that GCF out front and set up your parentheses. What do we drop first? X's. What do you always keep? Your first sign, so we're going to have a plus. Our second sign is a minus, so what does that mean about our answers? They got to be opposite. So if we have a plus, we need a minus. We're looking for factors of 12 that subtract to be 1. What are they? Factors of 12 that subtract to be 1. 4 and 3.
Wait, so you don't have to worry about like if it was like negative 4 or positive 3, whatever, it's just another positive 1 and
Yep. That's why I like this way better, because your signs are already taken care of. So if you're just x factoring, then you have to worry about signs, and sometimes that's where we mess up. But that's why I like this way better, because your signs are there, you're just looking for numbers. Is that okay? All right, so let's quick check this. What is positive 4 times negative 3? Negative 12. And then positive 4 minus 3. Is that 1? Yep, so that checks out and we're good to go. Questions? Y'all ready to try the rest on your own? Yeah? Okay.